Welcome, discerning minds, to another profound exploration here on the Deep Dive.
Hello there.
Today, we're journeying into a text that truly stands at the foundational crossroads of psychology, philosophy, and, well, even spirituality. William James's monumental work, The Varieties of Religious Experience. It's a book that asked questions over a century ago that, frankly, we're still grappling with today.
It really is, and it's an absolute privilege to delve into this material. James wasn't merely a detached observer of human behavior.
No, not at all.
He was a seeker, genuinely attempting to map the inner lives, the most profound experiences of individuals.
Right.
So our mission today really is to uncover the most potent insights from James's meticulous work.
Okay.
We want to grasp his revolutionary categories of spiritual states and understand how his empirical yet really expansive approach continues to resonate.
And how it stacks up against modern views.
Exactly. And sometimes even challenge our modern understanding, especially when we bring in contemporary neuroscience. And we'll also weave in some fascinating perspectives from a rich tapestry of sources you've provided, things ranging from ancient wisdom traditions right up to current spiritual dialogues.
Fantastic. So think of this as your essential guide, maybe a shortcut, to understanding not just what William James observed in the spiritual lives of countless individuals, but why his particular way of looking at it fundamentally reshaped our conversations about belief, experience, and, the very nature of the human spirit.
Absolutely.
So what comes to mind for you listening right now when you think about those intensely personal, maybe even unexplainable moments in your own inner world?
It's a good question to hold.
Let's begin our deep dive into the very fabric of spiritual experience. Okay, let's start at the beginning then. Who exactly was William James? And what made his contribution to studying religious experience so groundbreaking, so crucial, even over a century later?
Well, William James was a true titan of intellect, a polymath, really.
Right. Moved between fields seamlessly. Between medicine, physiology, psychology, philosophy. This was late 19th, early 20th century.
A pivotal time.
Hugely pivotal. The scientific method was gaining immense traction, often leaning towards a pretty reductionist view of human experience. Explain everything physically.
Reduce it down.
Exactly. But James, he championed a radical new way of engaging with religion.
How so?
Instead of getting bogged down in theological dogma or historical claims or trying to reduce everything to a material cause, he shifted the focus entirely.
To where?
To the individual's personal lived experience.
Oh, okay.
He famously and quite explicitly rejected what he called the absurd notion that a thing is exploded away as soon as it is classed with others or its origin is shown.
That's a powerful statement, especially for his era. It sounds like he wasn't interested in just debunking religious experience.
Not at all.
Like saying, oh, that's just a brain chemical.
Right. He was asking, what does it feel like to the person having it? How does it impact their life?
And how does it compare to other profound human feelings, whether they're labeled religious or not?
So the phenomenon itself was key.
He was essentially arguing that understanding the phenomenon itself, the experience, was more important than maybe tracing its ultimate cause, which might be unknowable anyway.
That makes sense.
Precisely. His was a truly bold stance. It directly challenged the prevailing scientific reductionism that sought to explain away anything that couldn't be neatly categorized or physically observed.
He was swimming against the current then.
Definitely. For James, classifying experiences like religious melancholy or profound happiness or these trance-like states, classifying them with other human emotional and cognitive phenomena, that wasn't a dismissal.
It wasn't reducing them.
No, it was actually a means to a deeper, richer understanding of their distinctive significance. He believed that by placing these intense subjective experiences within the broader context of human consciousness, we could gain better insights.
Into their true nature, their impact.
Exactly, their impact on individuals.
So his methodology for studying religion was revolutionary in itself. What did that look like in practice? How did he approach something so intangible with scientific rigor?
Well, he essentially proposed a new empirical standard for this kind of inquiry.
Okay.
To stand by experimental results and inner quality in judging of values.
Inner quality, meaning the subjective feel.
Yes, the subjective feel and the results, the effects. This wasn't about proving or disproving God.
All right.
It was about evaluating the effects of religious experience. He prioritized the actual, lived, subjective reality of the individual and its observable impact on their life.
Over just theory.
Over any purely theoretical explanation of its origins, yeah. He meticulously collected and analyzed personal testimonies, diaries, autobiographical accounts
Real stories.
from religious mystics, saints, but also ordinary individuals. He observed phenomena that others might have just dismissed.
What?
Things like melancholy, happiness, these
Hmm.
trance-like states of insight into truth. And rather than viewing them as isolated anomalies or, pathologies,
Right, not just crazy.
he framed them as special cases of kinds of human experience of much wider scope.
So he was treating these intensely personal, often spiritual experiences with the same kind of scientific curiosity, the same descriptive rigor he might apply to studying, say, perception or memory.
Exactly that. He wanted to understand the what and the how rather than just the where it came from, which he felt science maybe couldn't fully answer anyway.
He approached religious experience as a legitimate subject for psychological inquiry, then.
Yes, a phenomenon to be described and understood on its own terms. He was deeply interested in what he called its fruits,
Fruits, meaning the results.
the effects on an individual's life. He examined the practical outcomes, the changes in character, the new perspectives, the enduring impact these experiences have,
Regardless of the cause.
regardless of whether one attributed them to the divine or to purely natural processes or even to some temporary psychological state. For James, the what it does, how it transforms the life, held far more psychological significance than the question of where it comes from.
The practical effect.
He saw a clear scientific imperative in observing these profound transformations, even if their ultimate metaphysical source remained well beyond the realm of science.
Okay, so James wasn't content with just validating religious experience. He meticulously categorized it. Let's start with maybe the most relatable yet deeply profound categories he explored. Melancholy and happiness.
Yeah.
He wasn't just talking about everyday ups and downs here, was he?
Oh, absolutely not. No, these sound like much more fundamental shifts.
Yeah.
James delved into what he famously termed the sick soul versus the healthy-minded.
Sick soul versus healthy-minded, okay.
He was exploring profound shifts in an individual's inner state that really transcended mere mood swings. These are fundamental, often existential transformations.
Of their whole worldview.
Their worldview, their emotional landscape, their sense of purpose. The healthy-minded individual, he observed, often possesses this kind of inherent optimism.
Sees the good easily.
Yes, a natural ability to overlook or dismiss suffering finds life's goodness quite readily. The sick soul, by contrast,
More attuned to suffering.
acutely aware of suffering, of evil, the precariousness of existence. And this deep awareness can lead to a profound spiritual distress or melancholy, a feeling that something is fundamentally wrong.
So it's not just a personality type, but an entire orientation to reality, one that acknowledges suffering at its core and another that maybe naturally screens it out.
That's a good way to put it, an orientation. And how does someone move from that sick soul state to a profound happiness in James's view?
Yeah, how does that shift happen?
Well, James recounts numerous instances of these profound shifts. Take, for example, the experience of one subject he quotes,
Okay.
who, after intense distress, found an ineffable joy and exultation.
Ineffable, beyond words.
Exactly. The feeling wasn't just relief. It was described as like the effect of some great orchestra when all the separate notes have melted into one swelling harmony,
Web?
leaving nothing save that his soul is being wafted upwards and almost bursting with its own emotion.
A complete overwhelm of joy.
Yes, and this profound shift lifted the individual beyond all doubt, all despair, leading to the conviction, my highest faith in God and truest idea of Him were then born in me.
A new foundation.
The individual felt they had stood upon the Mount of Vision, experienced the eternal round about me, describing it as being born anew of his spirit.
Like a rebirth.
But crucially, they noted there was no destruction of the old, but a rapid, wonderful unfolding.
Ah, so an expansion, not just replacing old beliefs.
Exactly. An expansion rather than a rejection of prior understanding. It's a complete internal restructuring, a reorientation of the self that profoundly affects one's perception of reality and one's place within it.
That's a truly transformative experience. Moving from profound distress to this unshakable sense of joy and faith makes me think of some literary figures who went through similar crises.
Indeed. Consider Leo Tolstoy's account.
Oh, right. James talks about Tolstoy.
Extensively. James abridged and analyzed his crisis. Tolstoy, despite his fame, his material comfort, plunged into a deep melancholy.
Not just sadness.
Far from it. It wasn't a physical ailment. It was, as James noted, logically called for by the clash between his inner character and his outer activities and aims.
An inner conflict made manifest.
Yes, an existential crisis about getting of his soul in order, the discovery of its genuine habitat and vocation, the escape from falsehoods into what for him were ways of truth.
Questioning everything.
The very foundations of his life, his achievements, the meaning of existence. After this intense internal clearing, this struggle, the energy of life came back.
Oh, so?
Not as something entirely new, but as his ancient juvenile force of faith, the belief that the sole purpose of my life was to be better.
A return to something fundamental.
He embraced the simple, labor-filled life of peasants and found himself right and happy, or at least significantly more integrated ever since.
A radical shift in values.
And James interpreted this as a classic case of a heterogeneous personality tardily and slowly finding its unity and level, showing how inner conflict, when faced squarely, can be a potent catalyst for integration and profound peace.
That's a powerful illustration. Internal struggle leading to a complete reordering of one's life. It immediately brings to mind, for me, the principles of radical acceptance.
How so?
Well, the source material on radical acceptance notes that feelings and stories of unworthiness and shame are perhaps the most binding element in the trance of fear, right?
That's true.
And overcoming this involves pausing, accepting choices with compassion, even if they aren't ideal, clearing the way for a deeper acceptance.
Letting go of self-judgment.
Exactly, which creates more room for grace for these transformative shifts, much like Tolstoy shedding falsehoods for truth.
Absolutely. The internal landscape often holds us captive through fear and judgment, creating what the untethered soul describes as the root of every problem.
We protect our issues.
We do. We tend to protect our blockages by trying to control external situations, avoid inner discomfort. It becomes this vicious cycle.
Right.
Instead, the path, as suggested by these traditions, is to relax instead of closing around pain. Allow it to work its way through you.
That sounds vulnerable.
It is. But this vulnerability, this willingness to experience discomfort without resistance, paradoxically leads to freedom, leads to a deeper experience of, as the book says, an ocean of love.
Wow.
It's a profound shift from defending the self against perceived threats to embracing the full flow of life, even its difficult aspects, ultimately leading to a more expansive, joyful state.
Much like the profound shifts James observed.
Precisely.
So James's insights into these profound shifts from despair to joy, from a fragmented self to an integrated one, they find powerful echoes in both classic figures like Tolstoy and in modern psychological approaches like radical acceptance.
It shows these fundamental human patterns of struggle and transformation are timeless, really.
Yeah. Even if the language changes, from theological to psychological maybe.
The core experience remains recognizable.
Consider how this might manifest in your own life. Have you ever experienced a moment where confronting a deep internal struggle led to an unexpected sense of clarity or peace?
Okay, now let's turn our attention to another of James's key categories. Conversion. We often think of this in a pretty narrow religious sense, don't we?
We do, like a sudden change of faith.
Exactly. But James, ever the psychologist, presented it as something much broader, a universal psychological phenomenon.
He absolutely did, transcending specific religious doctrines or even, outright religious belief.
So how did he define it psychologically?
He defined conversion in broad psychological terms as a dramatic shift, where religious ideas, previously peripheral in one's consciousness, now take a central place.
Okay, a shift in focus.
And that religious aims form the habitual center of his energy.
The habitual center of energy. That's key.
It's fundamentally about a radical reordering of one's priorities, values, the direction of one's life force, a complete change in the habitual center of his personal energy.
So it's not just acquiring new beliefs.
No, it's a profound internal reorganization. It affects how you perceive the world, how you act within it.
And could science explain it?
He was candid about that. He noted that psychology is unable in a given case to account accurately for all the single forces at work in how this shift happens.
Acknowledging the mystery.
Yes, acknowledging the deep mystery of why certain experiences peel through us for the first time with such transformative power.
That's a crucial distinction. It implies that while the effects of conversion can be observed and described, the precise psychological or spiritual mechanisms that trigger such a profound shift often remain somewhat elusive. And it's not always a sudden dramatic event, is it, like a lightning bolt?
Correct. While crisis conversions are certainly notable, often involving a dramatic, sudden flash of insight, James also recognized volitional or gradual types.
Volitional, meaning chosen.
Where individuals consciously slowly work towards a desired state of being, but he particularly highlighted the self-surrender type,
Self-surrender.
which presents a fascinating paradox. In these cases, the very last step must be left to other forces and performed without the help of its activity.
So you can't make it happen through sheer will.
Exactly. Dr. Starbuck, a contemporary he cited, observed that relief persistently refuses to come until the person ceases to resist or to make an effort in the direction he desires to go.
Wow. So letting go is key.
It points to a profound psychological truth. Sometimes the most radical desired changes occur not through increased effort, but through a release of control.
When conscious striving gives way.
To a deeper process of letting go, allowing something larger, perhaps, to take over.
That's truly fascinating. It suggests a point where our conscious will reaches its limit and we have to surrender to a process beyond our immediate control. Can you give us a vivid example of this self-surrender dynamic?
A really powerful illustration comes from the journal of David Brainerd.
Brainerd, the missionary.
Yes, an 18th century missionary whom James held up as a genuine saint because of the profound impact of his conversion. Brainerd described his crisis in vivid terms.
What did he say?
One morning, while I was walking in a solitary place as usual, I at once saw that all my contrivances and projects to effect or procure deliverance and salvation for myself were utterly in vain.
All his efforts were useless.
I was brought quite to a stand as finding myself totally lost. He articulated this profound realization. It was forever impossible for me to do anything towards helping or delivering myself.
Complete helplessness.
And that all his past prayers, his religious efforts, were driven by self-interest, not genuine devotion. He felt his duties appeared a vile mockery, nothing but self-worship.
Brutal self-honesty.
Absolutely. After days in this mournful, melancholy state, a sudden shift occurred.
The surrender.
It seems so. Unspeakable glory seemed to open to the apprehension of my soul. He clarified, I do not mean any external brightness, but it was a new inward apprehension.
An internal scene.
A profound internal shift of perspective and purpose that redirected his entire being. It was a moment where the ego's frantic efforts just collapsed, opening the door to a deeper, more authentic truth he felt was beyond him.
That raw honesty about realizing his own self-interest driving his spiritual efforts. That's incredibly striking. It makes me think of the idea from The Road Less Traveled.
Scott Peck, right.
Yeah. Peck discusses how allowing yourself to be dependent on another person is the worst possible thing you can do to yourself.
Yeah.
If that dependence comes from a lack of self-discipline or responsibility.
Okay.
Brainerd's experience seems like the opposite in a way. Finding true self-responsibility by letting go of his self-serving contrivances, his manipulative prayers.
Rather than clinging to external notions of salvation.
Exactly. He found liberation in realizing his own complete inability and the necessity of surrendering control.
Indeed. Peck, in The Road Less Traveled, delves into this concept of radical personal responsibility as a path to profound change.
How does he frame it?
He discusses individuals who have faced their mental illness, accepted total responsibility for it, and made the necessary changes in themselves to overcome it.
Okay.
Find themselves not only cured, but also find themselves living in a new and different world.
Transformation.
They transform what were previously loathsome barriers into welcome challenges. Some even said their depression and anxiety attacks were the best things that ever happened to them.
Leading to grace.
Leading to a profound sense of being touched by grace. This parallels the deep internal reorganization James observed in conversion.
Where the energy shifts.
The individual's center of energy irrevocably shifts, moving from a self-focused, often fearful, manipulative state to one of deeper purpose, genuine self-responsibility, radical acceptance.
It highlights that surrender, whether spiritual or psychological, leads to an empowerment.
An empowerment that transcends previous limitations, yes.
So whether we label it religious conversion or a profound therapeutic breakthrough or just deep personal transformation, it's ultimately about a fundamental shift in how we perceive and engage with our inner and outer worlds. Moving from conflict and self-deception to self-awareness, responsibility, integration.
Leading to a more fulfilling, authentic life. One that James would say bears good fruits.
Take a moment to consider what self-surrender might mean in your own life. Is there an area where letting go might paradoxically lead to greater control or peace?
Beyond these profound personal shifts, James also ventured into what he called mystical experiences, those truly ineffable, often transcendent moments of insight and connection that seem to go beyond ordinary consciousness. What defines these for James? What sets them apart?
Well, James meticulously identified 4 key characteristics that he believed were consistently present in true mystical states
4 key markers.
across diverse cultural and religious contexts.
Right.
First, ineffability.
Can't be put into words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These experiences defy expression in ordinary language. The experiencer feels they cannot make that one understand, that language just overlaid it with words rather than put it clearly. It's a knowing that transcends verbalization.
Okay, first, ineffability. What's second?
Second, a noetic quality.
Noetic, meaning knowledge.
Yes. They carry a profound sense of objective truth or revelation, imparting deep insights into realities usually hidden from normal consciousness. The experiencer feels they've received illuminations, revelations, full of significance and importance,
Like getting information.
with an undeniable intuitive sense of knowing a deeper truth. It feels like knowledge, not just opinion or emotion.
So it's not just a powerful emotion, but a feeling of absolute, undeniable knowledge that comes without rational explanation.
Got it. What are the other 2 characteristics?
Third, transiency.
They don't last.
They're fleeting, often lasting only minutes or a few hours, though their transformative effects can be profound and lasting.
The memory and impact remain.
Yes, the vividness and intensity quickly fade, yet the conviction they leave behind remains. And finally, number 4 is passivity.
Passivity, like it happens to you.
Exactly. The experiencer feels taken over by a higher power or external force, as if their own will is suspended. They feel like a recipient.
Not in control. He cites examples where there is a perfect stillness of the night, thrilled by a more solemn silence. The darkness held a presence that was all the more felt because it was unseen.
A felt presence.
This led to an unwavering conviction that he was there, and a feeling of the experiencer being the less real of the 2. The individual feels like an instrument, rather than the agent.
That's an extraordinary description, encountering something truly beyond oneself, a profound sense of presence, connection, transcending ordinary perception and ego. Are these always quiet, internal revelations, or can they involve more vivid sensory stuff?
They are not always silent, no. Some experiences, particularly in those crisis conversions we talked about, involve photisms.
Photisms, like light.
Vivid perceptions of light, which James notes are far from uncommon. He mentions reports of an inward light or a strange light which seemed to light up the whole room,
Accompanied by feeling.
often accompanied by conscious supreme bliss. One person described it as something sweeping into me and inflating my entire being, such a sensation as I had never experienced before.
Overwhelming.
Another, after revival services, described the realization of conversion was very vivid, like a ton's weight being lifted from my heart, a strange light which seemed to light up the whole room, a conscious supreme bliss, which caused me to repeat glory to God for a long time. These accounts emphasize the overwhelming sensory and emotional impact, visual phenomena, intense emotion, profound relief, and joy.
These descriptions resonate so deeply with accounts from mystics across traditions, don't they? Ancient East, Western contemplatives.
Yeah.
It seems universal.
Absolutely. Take St. Teresa of Avila.
From Interior Castle.
Exactly. Her work provides a rich, detailed account from a Christian mystical tradition. She describes sublime communications and apparitions where one single word may contain a world of meaning, such as the understanding alone could never put rapidly into human language.
That speaks directly to James's ineffability, right? Meaning beyond words.
Precisely. And she speaks of a state where the Lord teaches the soul in the deepest silence. She compares it to Solomon's temple being built without noise. Just so, in this temple of God, he and soul alone have fruition of each other in the deepest silence. The faculties, she says, do not work, but seem to be dazed.
Echoing James's passivity, a stillness allowing direct communion.
A knowing that comes not from intellectual effort, but from pure being, pure presence.
Silence and deep understanding. A very different kind of learning than intellectual study or rational thought. It's knowing from direct experience, from being, not thinking.
Yes, knowing born of direct experience. An autobiography of Yogi offers vivid examples from the Hindu tradition.
Yogananda's experiences.
Yes. Paramahansa Yogananda describes his guru, Master Mahasaya, who possessed control over the floodgates of my soul, where tears flowed purely from bliss.
Intense emotion.
And another striking account involves meeting a guru, Maharaji, who could apparently read my mind.
Really?
Leading to a feeling of shame initially, but then an overwhelming shower or a bath of love that cleared away all the impurities I was carrying from the past.
A cleansing love.
These experiences connect strongly to that noetic quality, James emphasized direct, undeniable knowing, and the profound inner purification that comes with revelation and unconditional love. The guru-disciple relationship acting as a catalyst here.
That sense of unconditional love and its ability to cleanse and transform, that feels deeply resonant, a hallmark across traditions, not just the ones James focused on.
It truly is.
Yeah.
Be Here Now, a foundational text of Western counterculture spirituality.
Ram Dass, yeah.
Also talks about this. Encountering a guru like Maharajji provided love that was unconditional, all-knowing, and completely accepting.
And the effect?
This experience cleared away all the impurities I was carrying from the past, much like James's examples of sudden shifts where individuals felt purged of past burdens, negative self-perceptions,
Leading to freedom.
a new sense of freedom and lightness. It suggests that such love has a potent transformative power, capable of dissolving layers of guilt and shame, regardless of one's specific belief system.
That brings us to another powerful aspect, often reported in mystical states, the feeling of oneness. Reunification, does James touch on that, where the individual self seems to dissolve into a larger reality.
He does indeed. James speaks of cosmic emotion as a unifying state of mind in which the sand and grit of the selfhood incline to disappear and tenderness to rule.
The grit of selfhood disappearing. Beautiful phrase.
Isn't it? It perfectly describes the dissolution of the ego, the individual self, in favor of a broader, more interconnected consciousness.
And other traditions.
The Dhammapada, the Buddhist teachings, speaks of nibbana nirvana as the ultimate goal.
Reached how?
Reached when one perceives all sakharas are transient.
Sakura.
The conditioned phenomena of existence, our perceptions, mental formations, everything impermanent, letting go of attachment to these transient aspects of self.
And cultivating.
Cultivating loving kindness helps one attain the state that is peace, a state of profound unity beyond the separate self.
So, shedding the individual, separate self to experience a larger reality, a state of profound peace, interconnectedness, seems remarkably consistent across traditions.
It is a universal longing and a reported experience. Conversations with God delves even deeper into this.
Neil Donald Walsh's work.
Yes. It describes a third path in the afterlife as experiencing the collective consciousness of all that is, called reunification, or rejoining the one.
Like nirvana.
It identifies this as nirvana, the one with the oneness experience that many of you have had very briefly in meditation, an indescribable ecstasy.
But accessible now?
Importantly, yes. It suggests we can return to this oneness at any point on the cosmic wheel, meaning it's not just post-mortem, it's accessible in this life.
Through simple acts.
The text posits this connection can be found in seemingly simple acts, stopping to smile, breathing deeply, turning daily tasks into doing meditation.
Making the mundane sacred.
It argues that true wakefulness, divine connection, are available in the most ordinary moments, simply by shifting our attention and presence.
That's a powerful and, well, democratizing idea. These profound experiences aren't just for saints or advanced practitioners.
Potentially accessible to everyone through mindful presence, a shift in perception, integrating the spiritual into the everyday.
Now, James wrote all this when modern neuroscience was really just starting, wasn't it?
In its infancy, absolutely. He was working primarily with psychological observation, personal testimony.
So how do his findings, these vivid, subjective accounts of internal shifts, mystical states, how do they contrast with, or maybe even harmonize with, our contemporary understanding of the brain and consciousness?
It's a truly fascinating juxtaposition.
Do they clash or complement?
Well, James was acutely aware of that scientific tendency to reduce complex experience to its origins, and he pushed back fiercely.
How so?
He argued that to claim a thing is exploded away as soon as it is classed with others is an absurd notion. He was adamant that understanding the meaning and impact of an experience was separate from its physiological cause.
The value isn't lost just because you can classify it.
Exactly. He championed judging the values of an experience based on its experimental results and inner quality.
Results in inequality again.
Meaning he wasn't interested in reducing a profound spiritual experience to mere neuronal firing,
but understanding its transformative impact.
and the subjective reality it created for the individual. He believed that even if a phenomenon could be traced to physical roots, its meaning, its value, were not thereby diminished.
That's a critical point, especially today. We often hear the brain is the source of consciousness, implying consciousness is just a byproduct of brain activity. It's tempting for some to dismiss these subjective experiences as just brain states. James seems to argue for more nuance.
Absolutely. And modern thinkers, like Sam Harris in Waking Up, directly confront this very issue.
Karras, the neuroscientist and atheist.
Right, while acknowledging that nothing about a brain studied at any scale that even suggests that it might harbor consciousness apart from the fact that we experience consciousness directly.
Acknowledging the hard problem.
He also explores how neuroscience reveals the brain's incredibly complex, often fragmented nature. The evidence, he notes, suggests our sense that we are unified subjects is a fiction, produced by a multitude of separate processes and structures of which we are not aware. Yet, despite this,
Yes,
Harris still advocates for spiritual, mystical, contemplative, and transcendent experiences as empirical insight.
even without religious dogma.
Yes, as verifiable shifts in consciousness that can be cultivated, explored through practices like meditation. This aligns remarkably with James's empirical approach to the experience itself.
Regardless of the ultimate explanation.
Both are interested in the lived experience and its observable effects.
So the brain might be the incredibly intricate instrument, maybe a complex filter through which consciousness operates, but not necessarily the entirety of the experience itself.
That's a good analogy.
The mechanism, but maybe not the musician or the music. Jones's perspective seems to leave room for something more, doesn't it?
Precisely. James's own deeply held overbelief, as he called it,
His working hypothesis
was that the world of our present consciousness is only one out of many worlds of consciousness that exist, and that higher energies filter in, where they become continuous at certain points.
That's higher energies filtering in.
Wow. Now, this overbelief wasn't something he could empirically prove in a lab.
Right.
It was more a working hypothesis, maybe a leap of faith grounded in the observed effects, the profound transformative power of these experiences.
Based on the evidence he saw.
He felt that clinging to narrow scientific bounds and dismissing the total expression of human experience just because we couldn't fully grasp their origins, that was nothing short of humbug.
Humbug. Love that word.
He was essentially arguing for a more expansive view of reality, one that acknowledges the limitations of purely physical explanations for the richness of human subjective experience,
Suggesting consciousness isn't solely confined to the brain.
but rather interacts with, or accesses perhaps, other dimensions of reality.
That sounds like he's inviting us to look beyond purely physical explanations, to consider a reality beyond what our current science can measure, yet still profoundly impacts our lived experience.
And many spiritual traditions certainly echo this. They have for millennia.
Like,
The Seat of the Soul, for example, discusses conscious life as demanding the way of the enlightened spirit, moving beyond the lesser self and its inadequacies, fears, and angers and jealousies,
things that don't exist in spirit.
which do not and cannot exist within the realm of spirit. It frames personal and spiritual evolution as a deliberate choice, a movement toward a higher state by transcending egoic limitations.
And the untethered soul.
Similarly, the untethered soul speaks of spiritual evolution as the ongoing process to remove the blockages that cause your fear.
Blockages again?
These perspectives suggest that our internal limitations, fears, judgments, attachments, are the primary obstacles to experiencing a more profound reality. The reality James's overbelief hinted at.
So modern insights into our psyche, our brain processes, rather than disproving James, they can actually help us understand the how of these transformations he described.
Exactly. Even if the ultimate why remains mysterious, it's about recognizing the intricate interplay between our inner world, our brain, and our perceived reality.
The concept of a mental model of reality from the untethered soul seems relevant here too.
It offers a crucial modern psychological lens, yes. It describes how the mind buffers reality as it comes in, shaping our experience rather than reflecting stark, unfiltered experience.
Her perception is a construct.
A kind of internal filter. And shifting this construct, as happens in a conversion or mystical experience, can profoundly change our perceived reality.
It implies reality as a filtered, personalized version.
And that deep internal shifts can recalibrate this filter, leading to entirely new ways of perceiving and interacting with the world, much like the radical reorientations James documented.
Which brings us full circle, really, to the nature of reality and perception itself. Our sources suggest that what we perceive as true might be far more flexible, more internally constructed than we often imagine.
Deeply intertwined with our internal state and choices, yeah.
Well, of course, Miracles emphasizes this, doesn't it? With miracles as true perception.
It does, where truth overcomes all error. It states, if you perceive truly, you are canceling out misperceptions in yourself and in others simultaneously.
How's that work?
The text explains that the ego actively opposes all sane perception, creating illusions that the mind then believes and projects onto the world.
The ego creates illusions.
The Holy Spirit, conversely, undoes illusions without attacking them because he cannot perceive them at all, suggesting a natural dissolution when we let go of the ego's attachments.
Letting go of the constructs.
This resonates profoundly with letting go of attachments, the ego's constructs, which ultimately obscure true reality and create suffering. It implies reality isn't fixed, but shaped by our perception.
And a shift in perception can dissolve conflicts.
Internal and external, potentially.
So it's about seeing beyond our self-created limitations, the illusions our ego constructs, to access a deeper, more unified truth, one that's perhaps already present.
Exactly. And Conversations with God introduces that fascinating idea of a divine dichotomy.
Two contradictory truths existing at once.
Simultaneously, yes. For example, there is such a thing as good and evil. All there is love.
How can both be true?
It means that in ultimate reality, love is all there is. But in our relative experience, we create polarities like good and evil, precisely to experience love in its various manifestations. By contrast, this highlights how our ideas of right and wrong fundamentally define who we are in any given moment, and we keep changing the boundaries as you change your ideas of who you are.
Our reality is fluid, self-defined.
Not externally imposed, allowing for constant evolution of our understanding and being. It's a co-created reality in that view.
That's a mind-bending thought. We're not just passive observers, but active co-creators of reality. Our experience continually defines and redefines our truth, puts immense agency back on the individual.
And the Bhagavad Gita, the ancient Hindu scripture,
Yes,
speaks of transcendental knowledge as the mature fruit of all mysticism, something one enjoys within himself in due course of time through devotional service.
Devotional service. Bhakti yoga.
Yes, it teaches that a person engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reactions, even in this life.
Transcending karma.
Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. This consciousness allows one to be perfectly detached from sense gratification and thus liberated from the chained victimization of action and reaction.
Freedom from the ego's construct of reality.
And its dualistic judgments of good and bad. Much like A Course in Miracles transcending illusions, true liberation comes from a profound shift in consciousness.
Not frantic external control.
Or achieving specific outcomes, necessarily.
The idea of devotional service as the art of all work, that beautifully speaks to integrating spiritual practice into every single aspect of everyday life.
Transforming ordinary tasks into acts of devotion.
Rather than keeping spirituality separate. Thoreau, in Walden, certainly found that kind of integration, didn't he?
He really did. He chronicled how his life itself was become my amusement and never ceased to be novel.
Even housework.
His housework was a pleasant pastime, and his meditations were almost uninterrupted. He sought an instinct toward a higher, or as it is named, spiritual life, and found it in the wild, in nature.
Making his whole existence a spiritual practice.
Seeing the sacred in the mundane, finding continuous novelty and meaning in simplicity.
And the Tao Te Ching connects here too.
Beautifully articulates a similar concept, describing the great Tao flowing everywhere, bringing all things to completion without their even knowing it.
Effortless action.
And the sage, like the Tao itself, does not claim greatness over anything, isn't even aware of his own greatness. A profound humility.
Effortless efficacy, echoing James's observations of saintliness and the fruits of spiritual experience.
This idea of effortless accomplishment, humble presence, it aligns with the notion that true power, true transformation, arise not from striving, but from aligning with a natural, universal flow that transcends the ego's demands. ###44. James's enduring legacy.
So after this incredible journey through the varieties of human spiritual experience, their modern connections, what stands out as William James's ultimate enduring legacy? How does his framework continue to shape how we understand spirituality today? Why is it still so relevant?
I think James's lasting contribution is fundamentally his emphasis on the pragmatism of religious experience.
Pragmatism, its practical value.
Its tangible fruits, its effects on a person's life, rather than just its theological claims or disputed origins. He brilliantly moved the discussion away from abstract debates about doctrine.
Towards the lived impact.
Towards the observable, lived impact of these experiences. He invites us to look at the practical outcomes. The felicity, purity, charity, patience, self-severity found in saints. but also in ordinary individuals transformed by their experience.
She showed these phenomena produced real changes.
Real, measurable changes in character, behavior, worldview, irrespective of one's belief in their divine source. His work provides a language, a framework, to discuss intense personal experiences without dismissing them as merely pathological.
Insisting on their significance.
Insisting on their inner quality and their profound significance to the individual.
It sounds like he gave psychology permission to take subjective experience seriously, to validate our inner world as a legitimate source of knowledge, of truth, which was radical then and still vital today.
In fields from therapy to consciousness studies, absolutely. He democratized spiritual inquiry, in a way.
He really did.
He fundamentally shifted the conversation. His daring overbelief that there are many worlds of consciousness that higher energies filter in, it still challenges us.
To look beyond reductionism.
To look beyond purely material or reductionist explanations, to consider a richer, more complex reality. He bestowed immense legitimacy upon the individual's spiritual journey.
Paving the way for diverse approaches today.
Meditation, deep psychological work, various spiritual practices. He reminds us that the quest for meaning, for connection, for transformation is a deeply human endeavor.
And profoundly transformative.
And often profoundly transformative, yes. An endeavor that deserves serious, respectful inquiry, not dismissive judgment. He showed that religious experience, in its broadest, most human sense, isn't an anomaly to be explained away,
but central to human nature.
A central, vital aspect of human nature to be understood, cherished, valued for its profound effects.
It truly makes you wonder if these experiences consistently lead to such profound internal shifts, such demonstrably positive external effects, more charity, patience, self-awareness, purpose. Isn't that in itself a powerful form of truth, regardless of its ultimate origin? Perhaps the truest journey is, as many of these sources suggest, the one inward.
Where we find our own path.
Where we ultimately find our own path to the art of all work and connect with what truly gives our individual lives meaning and purpose.
As you reflect on this, consider, what might be your own overbelief about the nature of reality or consciousness that guides your life, even if you can't scientifically prove it? Hashtags tag outro.
We've just navigated the complex, often beautiful, and always compelling landscape of William James's Varieties of Religious Experience.
Guided by insights from across centuries, diverse cultures.
From the crucible of personal transformations, the profound shifts of conversion, to those ineffable moments of mystical oneness. We've seen how universally the human spirit yearns for, and indeed finds, these profound experiences.
And this deep dive has hopefully illuminated that James's science of experience isn't about reducing the sacred to the mundane.
No.
But rather about understanding its incredible richness, its undeniable impact on our lives, its psychological significance. It's about recognizing the common transformative threads in diverse spiritual journeys.
And valuing the inner landscape.
Valuing the inner landscape of human consciousness as a legitimate, vital field of inquiry, continually pushing the boundaries of what we consider scientific.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? If, as William James suggested in his profound way, our overbelief and the choices we make can help God in turn to be more effectively faithful to his own greater tasks, what greater tasks are you now called to undertake in your own unique and unfolding journey? What new truths or possibilities has this exploration opened for you?
We truly hope this deep dive encourages you to consider your own experiences, your own inner world, with new eyes, perhaps a deeper sense of appreciation.
And maybe to find the sacred.
And perhaps, yes, to find the sacred and the profoundly meaningful in the seemingly ordinary moments of your everyday life.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration of consciousness and the human spirit. Until next time, keep diving deep.